best late-night conservative talk show in America, Heads Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Heads Shaun and Head Clint. And we're working on immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best in late-night conservative talk, Heads Radio. The best late-night conservative talk show in America. In America.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.
And welcome to the Stackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. It is, of course, wow, it's the 13th already of September 2017. Let me put those on so I can see what I'm doing. Very nice shirt, Clint. Everyone's very appreciative, as am I.
I'm very appreciative.
We know that is your Achilles heel, technology, all the way around. So, yeah, I think it's very fitting. To say
it fits very nicely, actually.
Oh, God.
It's a very nice fitting.
I'm so glad we have these talks. Hey, I want to...
That's a nice picture.
Thank you. It didn't
That's
come
a
out
great picture.
as much as I'd like, but yeah. I wanted to say happy birthday to my little man. Turned 7 today, James. That was he and I last night. We 2 nights ago, Monday night, went out for dinner. And
Is that the Sacramento River?
Whoa. BZ, why don't I hear you?
Why don't you hear me?
Why don't I hear you, BZ?
Is that the Sacramento River?
That is the Sacramento River, as BZ asked so nicely.
Yeah.
So, yeah, 7 years old. Absolutely amazing. And
You remember when you were 7, don't
The
you?
river looks a lot older than 7.
the river looks a couple of years older than 7. Do I remember when I was 7 years old? I don't remember what I had for lunch.
I can
BZ.
remember my mother saying to me at the age of 6, "You're 6, you're a big boy now, you're going to have to eat your
Poop your pants.
Eat your vegetables."
Oh. Wipe your own butt.
I was doing that at age 1 because I was born in a log cabin that I helped my father build.
When you were 2.
That's how industrious I was way back then.
And you had to walk uphill both ways
Yes!
carrying the logs.
You read the book.
Yes.
Read the book. I was part of it.
He wrote the
I
book.
was part of the
Yes,
book.
it was written in stone because they didn't have pages back then, BZ.
And we had little cars where our feet went.
Yes. Yes.
And a dog named Dino, but it wasn't really a dog.
It was not. Love Dino.
You ate Brontosaurus
Yep.
burgers.
Oh, gosh. So much to talk about this week. But first and foremost,
Yes.
Big Nose, we missed you last week.
Missed you guys too. Yeah, it's been
We
a
just
little.
want to know if everything came out all right.
It's been a little crazy.
Yeah. No, I know. We've actually been reading
There's
the
still a
press
little bit
releases.
in there.
Whoa, why didn't anyone tell me my glasses were still...
Fogged up.
Yeah.
I just thought it's because you were looking at BZ
They're
so
kind
hot.
of sideways.
Well,
a
it
little
was a little jacked. I got it
Well,
fixed.
hang on. We have to speak Boston because they were a little sidewards.
Little sideways?
Yeah,
Little sideways.
A little
Boston.
sidewards.
Bastin.
Yeah.
Sackhead Sean taught me how to say Bahaba.
Bahaba. Oh, yeah, we had the full discussion last week.
Was that Pearl Harbor?
No, Bahaba.
Bahaba.
That's Pearl Harbor.
That's spelled BAHHABBAH. Right? Bahaba. Bahaba.
Is that
Bahaba.
a bar hopper?
No, Bahaba. Totally different.
Either Pearl
It's
Harbor
a place
or
in Maine. Bahaba.
Yeah.
like
As
the Black Sheep
opposed
Squadron.
to prostitutes that you throw rocks at.
Right. That's Rock Haba.
There is,
Right.
That's what? Wait, what?
Rock Haba.
It's not Rock Haba.
Yeah.
It's not Rock Haba.
You
I
throw-
made it. I invented the game. It's not Rock Haba.
What do you do, though? You throw a Rock Haba.
Right. That's true. Yeah, I didn't think about it. You're right. I got nothing.
Oh, man. We're glad to have you back.
I am glad to be back
You know, it's...
Nice shirt.
for this week. Thank you. I'll be back this
You
week.
didn't get the memo, BZ? Blue plaid.
Yeah.
Blue plaid.
I clearly
You know,
did
the
not
email went
get
out.
It was internal.
damn
The email went
memo.
out.
I thought we had an internal memo sent, BZ.
It's so sad.
No, look, I got it.
Yeah. Look, I got the don't shave memo.
Yeah.
Well,
I
wait a minute.
I got it.
No, I got that one
Clint-
too, except Clint didn't get
No,
that
Clint,
one.
I
Clint
did.
actually got it. He hasn't shaved in
look.
3 years. Oh, boy. There goes all of our listeners.
Right there.
Thank
There's
God you didn't
all of it.
expose the toe hair. Well,
It's not called toe hair, but whatever.
If he hasn't already, it's time for James to go to bed.
Hey, I was good. I stopped myself.
I said 5 minutes. We got to 6, and I was appreciative.
You are
very
welcome.
appreciative from all he is, actually.
Yes, you're welcome.
Oh, boy.
I'm sitting over here being good.
Well,
Being so good. So good.
you would just...
look at all the people in chat. We
Who do
got
we got
Jersey
in
Joe. We have SHR Media 1 Golf Dogs.
Wait, SHR Media 1?
Yeah.
Who's that?
We have
That's
Melanie
me.
Colette.
It's me.
She's here. We got Dave Milner. We have two, count
what you did there.
them, 2 viewers and guest 17.
Ooh.
Way better than 16.
Way better than
Still
16.
way better than 16.
Yep.
Guess
Yeah.
17, that's a big deal. You
That's
don't,
a huge deal.
You
don't
just
know-
don't get to the 17th guest like out of nowhere, right?
No,
I mean, at the end of the day.
there was
really
a
don't.
massive generational change between 16 and 17.
I agree.
Did you guys see the report that the Democrats are actually shifting? The Democratic base is actually shifting more right.
What?
I'm not going to go
What
for
planet?
that.
What
No.
Yeah, that's
Listen
like-
to what I said. I said
Okay.
I said the
Sean,
base.
Take finger, insert into mouth.
Yeah.
And hold like that.
I don't want to buy this whatsoever.
No, I said the base because the
Oh, he means Al Qaeda, the base.
Oh,
right. What about the Matrix? The red pill and the blue pill.
the bread pill.
Did anybody ever get that reference to Republicanism and
I did.
Democrats? The red pill and the blue pill.
I suppose it depends on which one you took.
But let's
You
go back.
take the blue pill.
I want to go back to what you were saying.
Yes.
You take the blue pill.
What?
Nothing. I just think it's funny you make fun of the old timer that way. I think it's adorable, really.
Thank you.
It's,
It's just the old timer, you young whippersnappers.
and that's pretty much what it is. That's all I hear sometimes when you talk. I don't know if that's right or not, but that's all I can listen to.
Look at little Luke over there. Okay, what actor was that? Oh, come on.
Oh,
Walter Brennan. The real McCoys.
yes, thank you. Oh, why would you do that to me this early? Do you see a cup of coffee in front of me, BZ?
Well, this early, it's 8:02 on the left coast.
Yes, which is early.
It's 11.
Hey, Sean, I'm backing you
right
up on
coast.
this.
Thank you.
I'm backing you up on this. BZ, this is way too early, and neither one of us have coffee in front of us.
Well, I have a.
Nor have I had any coffee since 10:30 this frickin' morning.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
I'm sorry, my coffee anger came out a little
Wow.
bit. I apologize
It
to all of you.
wow! How did that happen?
No coffee. It's been like that.
Well, yeah. See, it was that bad.
It was that bad.
It was that bad. I played it again for you.
Thank you.
It's not often I get.
We didn't get the first.
Well, I just wanted to make sure he knew exactly what he was saying
No, I knew what I was saying.
because he hasn't had coffee since 10 a.m. this morning.
You're going to have to show me how to do that. You're going to have to show me how to go live on Facebook.
How to go sidewards?
Oh yeah, I don't know why I haven't yet, but I will. It's easy.
And can you go live on Twitter?
No, maybe.
I don't know if you can go for
All right,
like
BZ,
2 hours.
I'm not going to lie to you. We at the absolute extreme of my technological ability. Anything past this, I pee myself and pass out.
No. We look to you.
That's the problem.
Does that mean when the board gets here, we're going to have to actually break open the instructions?
No, I refuse.
No, absolutely
I'm a
not.
better
Why the
person
hell
than
would
that.
we do that?
I'm a way better person.
BZ,
than
we're
that.
men. We don't read instructions or ask for directions.
Damn instructions.
No. Do you look for instructions when you open a package of toilet paper? No, you just know what to do.
The funny thing is, somewhere on the planet, there's instructions inside somewhere.
I wouldn't know. I've never looked.
Along with some sort of warning.
Yep.
Right.
I've never looked at toilet paper, but there has to be a warning on it, right?
Be careful. With extreme pressure, you may have a poke through. I mean, something, right?
Caution.
Note: please pick up turds only by clean end.
Yeah.
Well, that killed the conversation.
Yeah, BZ, man.
Yeah, who the hell would use the clean end?
Oh, boy. What do we get going on this week?
What don't we have going on this week?
A lot of things.
You know, last night we weren't friends.
Yes. Okay, yeah, let's go down this road.
Yeah.
Today you're okay, last night you weren't.
Right.
And I know that.
What?
So, yeah, what
Yeah.
most people don't realize is, anyone who's
most people who've been listening at all
will know this,
will know
actually.
this,
yeah.
yeah.
So, Clint is an Oakland A's fan, and I am a Boston Red Sox fan.
Mm-hmm.
And
I like the Brewers.
do you really? Milwaukee?
Ooh, Milwaukee.
The good land.
Yeah. I like the Houston Oilers.
The Brew Crew.
That's no football. I'm boycotting the NFL this year.
Of course you
No
are.
kidding. If I could fist bump you from here,
If I could fist me, fist me. There we
I
go.
would.
Thank you. But go ahead, Sean. I apologize.
So, Clint's a humongous A's fan, and I'm a big Red Sox fan. Last night, through no fault of his own,
Right. Yeah, it was no fault of mine at all. And look, I have to give Boston major props.
yeah,
Like I don't know
11-1 victory.
I don't know how they scored while they were in the field,
Twice.
but somehow I think it might have happened.
It actually happened twice.
Yeah, first time in baseball history, I think.
11-1, and then tonight it was what, 7-3?
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys won 7-3. We're in the hunt, though.
You know, we were okay, Sean, until you said that. We were okay right now until you went and rubbed that in a little bit. I'm not going to lie.
I'm not going to lie.
That
hurts a
hurts.
little
Like
bit.
that hurts a lot bit.
A lot, bit.
That hurts. Let's change the subject. Hawaii's 2-1.
There you go, college.
Yeah, college football. Hawaii's 2-1. Yeah, they lost to UCLA. They got their smoked by UCLA.
Hey, Japan's still 0-2, so that's good.
That's good. Yeah. And if North Korea gets uppity, they might be 0-3.
They
If
might
we don't
be.
come in and save them.
Here's
Yeah.
a partial score.
Yes.
Los Angeles 3.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What was that from? What was that
George
from?
Carlin.
Yes.
George Carlin.
Yes. I knew that. I knew I'd heard that before. Oh man. What was I going to say? Where do we want to start tonight?
Look, I want to start with the clip we have of and I don't want to set it up too much, but until afterwards. But if you could start the clip from right around the 3:30, 3:45 mark,
I can and I will.
and we'll let it play. So I just want to say this is court proceedings
Yep.
regarding the potential release of a suspect, and it's court proceedings, and obviously the judge is there, the in custody is there, the federal prosecutor is there, and defense, and just listen and digest
What's going on, and then we'll discuss
And
how this is
why this is relevant
right now.
here. Yeah, shortly.
6 months, over 6 months before it was brought here, believes that the judge will, if this court orders him released to Newbridge, that the judge will
Pause it.
Lift that hold.
So Newbridge is a rehabilitation facility for narcotics offenders.
Yes.
So just so you know what Newbridge is, that's what Newbridge is. Oh, and by the way, this judge is a federal judge in San Francisco. Just let that sink in.
Yeah.
So what I would ask is if the court does release him, I can get a copy of the minute order, and then I will, we set up a release date a few days or a week or something like that, and I will, because the house is going to need to be posted anyways.
Okay.
And then she can get court dates in Sonoma County and get that whole lifted then.
Okay. Mr. Kirsten, I was going to ask you, Mr. Kirsten, for your comments.
Yes, so, and we've not had a full detention hearing in this case. It was initially in front of Judge James, and I think it was referred to Your Honor on July, for a first appearance on July 25th, at which point Ms. Amram mentioned Newbridge assessment. The government strongly objects to release in this case. Pre-trial, as I understand, also continues to object even in light of the Newbridge assessment. And if I could just go through the government's reasoning, and I would note again, this is a presumption case under 3142B. As Your Honor recognized on July 25th, this is not just a run-of-the-mill drug or narcotics case. There's aggravated identity theft charge as well as access device fraud, and that arises out of a vast amount of stolen counterfeited driver's licenses and ID cards and credit cards that were found on the defendant's car and embosser. It's reflective of intentional, premeditated, and extremely dangerous conduct in addition to the drugs, as well as firearms. The defendant had 2 firearms on him. And the government is particularly concerned, one on his person, one in the car, along with all this other
Did we make it clear?
The government
Did we make it clear that this is the prosecutor who's the male voice and the judge with
is
the
female voice? If we haven't, it is now stipulated.
So stipulated. Nice work.
Thank you.
Should be obvious.
I'm concerned because this is reflective of a long pattern with this particular defendant. He's been in and out of jail and prison for the last 12 years, and there are some consistent threads in the charges that he's been convicted of. Defendant consistently possesses and uses firearms. In a 2006 conviction for assault with a semi-automatic firearm, the defendant fired at victims in a car a number of times, and then later on pointed a gun at one of the victims in a motel room. He was convicted in 2006 for assault with a deadly weapon, spent 6 years in prison, and then in 2013 possessed a firearm again and was convicted for possession of a firearm as well as evading the police. In both instances, in 2006 conviction, when he was finally caught by the police, they cornered him and he rammed into their cars trying to speed away. In the 2013 conviction for arrest for possessing a firearm and evading the police, led them on a high-speed chase. He was again got 3 years in prison there, and when he was released on parole for that offense, he had a parole violation in April 2015, but then in December 2015, that's the conduct here. The police again found him with firearms, narcotics, and he again fled from the police. But now it's escalating conduct with him being involved in a pretty massive ID theft and access device fraud scheme from all accounts from the evidence. Hundreds of pieces of stolen or fabricated means of identification and access devices were found on him. With respect to, and so these consistent threats, I should mention also in each of those prior cases, he either stole a car or was possessing a stolen vehicle. Here, he had used the IDs that he had either counterfeited or stolen to rent this car that he was found in. It's recidivist conduct and it's continuing. There's also a number of supervised release violations. That's a consistent thread. He has parole violations and convictions in 2013 and 2015. His probation for his 2003 and 2004 convictions, one involving the firearm, his probation was revoked in 2006 when he was arrested and convicted for firing a gun at victims in a car. His continual, it's not only that he has these violations in his supervised release, it's when he is approached by officers, his instinct is to flee, is to drive, speed away, to ram their police cars to get away from them. In this case, when the police sought to arrest him, he ran from the police and they had to chase him down with a canine unit. In the pretrial services report, it notes that the agent, case agent in this case, listened to the defendant's jail calls, and that will be produced to the defendant shortly. Among other things, the defendant was heard saying that he considered shooting the police officer, but then decided just to run.
Okay,
that is huge, and I want to stop it right here because I want to let you know who this guy is.
Yeah, I was going to say let's talk about who this bastard is,
and then we'll play the tape some more, and we'll hear what happens. You are listening to the prosecutor, and by the way, this individual at the time of this hearing was facing a 12-year minimum federal prison sentence, and he would have been in federal prison had this particular judge not released him to a rehab program.
Right.
This is the individual who, a couple weeks ago, shot 3 police officers in Sacramento, 2 of which were California Highway Patrol officers who were injured and survived, and 1 was a Sacramento County deputy sheriff, Deputy French, who was killed. So here you go. You had behavior which was exactly as is described by this prosecutor, who is arguing to keep him in custody based upon his violent history and his history of weapons violations as well as narcotics, trying to keep him in because he said that he considered shooting the police officer, but then just decided to run.
Right.
That's who this guy is. And so I don't want to get too far into it because I really want I now that you know who this guy is, I really want you that really kind of focuses more now on why this is such an important issue. And this is again a federal judge out of San Francisco.
And her name is Lee, I believe.
I don't know if it's Lee, I believe.
Well, it's Lee.
Yes. Yes.
Why do you do this to me?
I don't know.
I'm just trying to help.
Because I needed some levity because I was getting so angry.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm glad.
I was starting to get angry, and I really need to maintain on this. So go ahead, Sean, unless either one of you have anything more.
No, BZ, you have something?
Right at this point.
Last Thursday, when my show was on, at the exact same time that Bob French's funeral was being conducted, 2 SAC PD officers were shot.
Yeah.
In the exact same hour.
Yeah. No, you. Yeah. And it was the same. I mean, I hate to say it, but it was the same type of situation. It's a person who never should have been allowed to walk around in public.
Yes, the person that shot them was a double murder suspect of a mother and a daughter in the city of Sacramento.
Yep, absolutely tragic. Here, let's continue with this with the Little Cloud tapes. Because, and by the way, we had to kind of look for these. We knew they were out there. They were everywhere for a little while. Now they're disappearing.
Yes.
Because you have a Ninth Circuit Court judge.
I don't think it's Ninth Circuit. It's a magistrate judge.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's a Madge judge.
Yeah,
I apologize.
It's a federal magistrate judge out of San Francisco.
Who is being warned repeatedly about a man whose criminal arrest record she has and is aware of the danger that he presents to society in general.
They have jail call tapes where he talks about shooting a police officer.
Yes. It's just, God, this is just horrific, but let's just keep going with it.
So it's a consistent pattern that Newbridge does not assess the criminal history. So the government understands that they don't assess criminal history. They don't assess this risk of danger or look at his criminal history. And these are significant things that the government is concerned about and respect the request of the court detaining him pending trial in this case, which has a mandatory minimum of 12 years right now on these charges from the drugs and the ID theft.
Okay.
Mandatory minimum.
Ms. Armour, thank you.
So, Your Honor,
Defense.
The allegations are very serious. I'm not trying to minimize that or argue with that in any way. And I think this would be an easier call for detention had he ever once in his life received any kind of drug treatment or doesn't appear any mental health treatment. He hasn't ever at all, and he has a really, really serious mental problem.
What was the Delancey Street issue?
He was trying to get into that from Sonoma County, and so he was working to have release from Sonoma County on this case in Delancey Street. We've never been there before. And so we're talking about someone who has he was in foster care from the time he was very little, found on the streets of Arizona, wandering around with the ladies and with the scabies and lice investigation.
What does that have to do with it? I want to stop it for a second, too.
Go ahead.
And this is why I have a serious issue with some defense attorneys.
Why is anyone even listening to that fuck say things like that?
How is that pertinent to what's going on?
It has
It's not.
nothing to do with it, unless you're a leftist.
Right. And that's what I'm getting at, too, right? You're building up this case to turn this guy into a victim, and you're ignoring everybody he's victimized.
I know
Yes.
this. He just needs understanding.
Oh, he had hair lice. He grew up in the foster system.
Listen, if you have
He just
hairlines
needed
and a
another
bad
hug.
day, you can just kill someone. No big deal.
The reality of the situation is these are all just stupid-ass excuses. You're trying to bail a guy, and when you're the defense...
Not even bail.
Right. Release.
Yeah, they just want him released to a rehab.
To a rehab.
What?
When you are a defense attorney, and I've said this time and again, I understand what your job is to a point, but I also think it's incumbent upon a defense attorney to know when their client is too dangerous to be let out in public and have enough audacity to stand up and say that, hey, you know what, based on his history, he didn't do this crime, and I'm going to defend him to the end, but I understand why you'd want to hold him, and it makes sense, and it's actually going to be better for him because he could probably get better treatment being held.
Right, he's not going to slide.
Right.
He has a history of
There's no
sliding
chance of him failing on this.
Look, if you're a defense attorneys have a place, 100%.
Absolutely,
we have a
bottom of the ocean.
They have a job. Look, defense attorneys.
They do have an existence that's very
defense
important.
attorneys ensure that the government follows proper process.
Right.
And that the rights of their client are protected.
Right.
I have no problem with that.
Right.
I really don't. Because if the government and defense should be on the same page with that.
I agree.
I don't think either one would want to violate the rights of anybody. And if
I may not agree with that.
Well, if the government does violate their rights, then that is a problem. And we talk about that on our show.
Of course.
Right? That is absolutely a problem. So defense has a job to do, a very serious job, a very important job to do. But making somebody like this out to be a victim,
yes,
in my opinion, goes beyond what defense counsel is there to do.
It's a true tragedy and justice.
It is. That is them not doing. That is them doing a disservice to society as a whole, and their client also, because Little Cloud's dead now.
Right.
And guess what? The flip side of this argument is Little Cloud would be alive today had he not be released. Right. So not only would Deputy French be alive today and that family not have to suffer, but Mr. Little Cloud would be alive today also.
The two CHP officers would not have to be recovering from their injuries.
Absolutely.
And Little Cloud would be alive.
That would be the most important aspect to any leftist is poor Little Cloud wouldn't be, he would still be here.
Hey, you know
the
what?
Other people are immaterial. They're side issues.
Yes.
The big issue is him.
Okay, but look, human life is either precious or it's not. We agree?
And there's no middle ground.
Exactly. So the human life is precious. Look, I am a death penalty proponent, and if you do take a life, I do believe in the process, and I do believe that the death penalty is appropriate in certain cases after it goes through the judicial process. That being said, do I think that people have a right to self-defense and use deadly force and apprehension of serious, dangerous criminals? Absolutely, 100%. But if I think anybody on the right and left could agree that if human life is in fact precious, then the deputy and the suspect would be alive today. And whether, regardless of which side you fall, and some people say, "Hey, good, he's dead, he deserved to die," meaning Little Cloud. Well, that's their opinion. But the real truth of the matter is, if defense counsel had been doing their job and appropriately, in my opinion, then he would have been incarcerated for his 12-year sentence. And you can't tell me in prisons and jails there's not drug treatment programs. I know damn well there are.
Prisons
of course
and jails,
there are.
Prisons and
Absolutely
jails are essentially the only places anymore that people do get treatment.
Yes.
Right.
Because all the rest of them on the outside are packed. They're packed.
Well, they're packed.
And there are not enough of them.
And there's not enough rules, and there's not enough. The other thing that happens, too, is they're not being held accountable when they violate the terms of their rehab. And
there's no more parole in the state of California.
There's not.
There is essentially no more parole.
Or violent offenders, really.
What? Yeah. When you take rape and take it out of the violent criminal act category by AB 57 or SB 57?
Yes.
It's insane. That's insane.
How is it you can't take into account the violent criminal history of somebody and only have to go on this most recent? That's insane to me also.
But that was the point of 57.
Of course it was. Look, Sean, I'm sorry. We're up against the break. Can we come back? Are you good if we come back with this? Because I think this is important. This has national repercussions.
Well, there's
I believe,
major implications on the leftist grip of a lot of this.
yes,
a lot of that.
particularly since this was a federal judge that released this.
Absolutely.
Huge deal. So when we come back, thanks, Sean.
All that more right here on the Sackheads Radio Show.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, it's Sean from the Sackheads Radio Show. Also one of the owners here at the SHR Media Network. Are you opinionated? Have you ever wanted to do your own show? Have you ever heard somebody like the Sackheads and go, yeah, I could probably do that better? Well, now's your chance. Send me a 5-minute clip at sackheadsradio@gmail.com, and maybe you can be part of the SHR broadcasting team. sackheadsradio@gmail.com.
Times are dark. The people are misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation looking for direction needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, Pundit Press Radio, and YouTube through the SHR Media page for a different kind of commentary on the unpleasant blind guy. Because the truth is not always pleasant.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians,
You got a business. That you didn't build that.
a team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Shaun.
Dude, I'm not saying Catholic is stupid.
Sackhead Clint.
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
Also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on SHRmedia.com.
The bloviating Zeppelin. He's big-footed enough radio shows to last a lifetime, courtesy of Sean, Clint, Ken, and Jersey Joe. Now it's time for him to waddle on his own 2 feet via the glorious SHR Media. Gird thy loins for the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon. Coming soon to articles near you. Excelsior.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
The Sackheads Radio Show, live on the SHR Media Network. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
That almost sounded like an After Dark voice.
It kind of was, right?
It was.
It was almost there.
Show you right.
It was almost there.
You
Before we went to break, we were playing the audio from the courtroom down in San Francisco that released Thomas Littlecloud. He was the police officer who shot Robert. He was the shitbag that shot Deputy Robert French and killed him and 2 CHP officers. Extremely violent criminal history, including guns, stated in a recorded phone call that he wanted to kill a police officer. They're just tumultuous, but we're going to go ahead and continue with the tape right now.
Adopted to a really solid family at 10, but has never received, and developed a pretty serious drug addiction starting at about, I think it was 12, and then getting substantially worse. And meth is clearly a huge problem for him. It was clearly a huge problem in this incident. And whatever happens with this case, I think all want it to be a situation where he does better, and he's going to need drug treatment, and he's going to need mental health treatment. And Newbridge knows what they're doing. Newbridge is not some, questionable program. It's as tough and as rigid and as substantial as it gets. And Newbridge interviewed him, and they said they can handle this, and they want him in their dual diagnosis program, which is a big commitment for them for pretrial. I know it would be a big commitment for him. His his mom is willing to post a house, which means he walks away from Newbridge, they lose their house. So he knows that. And, there's a huge difference between someone who makes a terrible decision while high on meth to flee into a storage unit to, when they're about to be arrested, and someone who's sitting there in Newbridge and says, okay, I'm going to walk out and cause my parents to lose their home. That's like a big difference.
Yeah, like he cares.
And so we're asking for one chance. If the court knows Newbridge. If he steps so much as like a part of a toe out of line, they will let the court know, and we will be back here, and he will be in custody. It's not like Newbridge is some sort of even close to easy ride. And so we're asking that he go into the toughest program with his parents' house on the line for one shot at treatment, which he clearly really, really needs.
Can I ask your client some questions?
Yes.
Mr. Littlecloud, why is it now that you think that this would be helpful to you?
But everything that my life has come to, it was like selfish, but now I have my son who's in foster care, and he's 3 years old at the same age I was in foster care. So I could see the same pattern just repeating over and over. And I wanted to just, even if it's just for me, change my life and provide like some type of like positive influence in my son's life, so he doesn't go through like the same questions that I had when I started using meth and I started running away from home. I didn't know that like my life mattered, So when I made decisions for myself, it was only until I was sitting in jail, like hot, like coming down, that I realized all the people that hurt and that they're there for you. But then when you're high, you're just like toned out, you're just numb to everything. And
which time sitting in jail did he think of this? I wonder. Because he said when he was sitting
everyone.
Because when he said he thought, man, the people I hurt. So I was not high. I was coming down from meth. Which effing time? You've been in prison so many freaking times. It's not like you had a fucking epiphany last time you were there. And these people freaking bought it. Hook, line, and sinker.
That's part and parcel of this. I have no other word to use for it except sickness. Leftism anymore, it is a sickness. It is unsustainable, and it's a sickness in their philosophy.
I would think that a federal judge has been...
They do not understand human nature.
But you would think, like logically, and I know I'm thinking logically, and so this part will not translate to leftists.
Right.
I would think that logically, a federal judge, who has sat in court and heard bullshit over and over, and seeing the same bullshitters over and over again, would fucking get it.
Let me give you some insight, though, because I worked in the federal system.
You would think.
AUSAs are very picky about the cases that they take, because almost every AUSA, that's an assistant U.S. attorney in all the districts, they all want to be a federal what? Magistrate or a judge. Once they're in for life.
Not magistrate judges, I think, are confirmed every 8 years.
Well, yes, judges. I'm sorry, I mean judges, because there is a difference between the two.
Right.
Magistrates are whale crap,
bullshit.
And judges are
crap.
They shouldn't be making these decisions, apparently.
Federal judges are God.
They should have fuchsia robes.
But once they're installed, they die in office, essentially, and you can't touch them. She's untouchable. She's inviolate, essentially, because I'm sure she knows that once she's a magistrate, where's she going next?
I think Congress should pass
a judge.
I think Congress should pass a law, because look, there has to be a check on the judiciary. Every branch is supposed to have a check on every other branch, right? So, okay, Congress, use this case and write a law saying that they cannot be reconfirmed after 8 years. Appoint them to a magistrate position. Put fucking term limits on them. Or put some mechanism in place
where they actually get held accountable for shit that they do.
Yeah. To where they can be removed from office.
Well, and there's no accountability. That's the other thing, too, is, we've seen this out with judges who've, done weird sentences for certain people where it shouldn't even have, 3 days for a rape and stuff like that. other than like an electorate recall system in the cases of some elected judges in counties, there's no check and balances unless they break a law and get convicted.
I know of one time when a judge was freaking actually ousted, and that was Rose Bird. The Rose Bird Supreme Court in the state of California.
1978, 1979.
Yep.
Oh, my gosh.
Who overturned every bet. You forgot about that, didn't you?
Forgotten about Rose Bird.
How do you forget about Rose Bird? Anybody who's not familiar with Rose Bird, the California Supreme Court, and that whole effort that actually got her removed from office via a vote, very interesting reading. She overturned the death penalty cases of cop killers, the Newhall incident, which were the guys. One guy was dead. One guy was actually taken into custody, killed 4 California Highway Patrol officers. Just a whole Night Stalker. Who am I thinking of?
Out of the Napa Valley area.
Yeah,
walking around the lakes.
Look into Rose Bird. But anyways, that's the only time I know of. That's the only time I know of. I'm sorry, Sean. I didn't mean to interrupt. I know we got to get through this.
No, it's fine. Listen, this is part of the conversation about this, right? The biggest thing that we're trying to show with this tape is, once again, you have a liberal judge who is going the emotional route with something that should not be emotional.
Yeah.
The reality of the situation is you have this paperwork sitting in front of you, black and white, of this shithead offending time and again and violating numerous probation, parole, if I'm not mistaken.
And look, this is important because I don't think a lot of people really follow the process. A lot of people don't sit in court unless they've had jury duty or something like that. A lot of people don't see this process, right? This wasn't a jury trial. There weren't 12 members of a jury sitting in there. Even though these are public proceedings, most people don't go sit and watch a court proceedings.
Right.
So I think this is stuff that a lot of people don't see. And I think this is important. And I thought this was important enough that we wanted to share it with you tonight and discuss it because this is hard audio to frickin' find right now.
Well, and that's the thing; it's nowhere.
But this is why we wanted to bring it to you. So go ahead. And I really want these people. I really want our listeners to hear the judge's remarks when we get there.
Yeah.
I don't go around the people that care about me because
this is Little Cloud.
So you just run until in the morning. Then.
What about when you were in prison for the last 6-year term? Did you get any kind of drug treatment program there?
They didn't let me go because I had a gun case in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like really that's just to give people credits to get out early. So it's just a way for them to empty the jail out. So not everybody's allowed to go to there. And it's a SAP program, substance abuse program, and they don't allow it to any gun cases.
Okay. Do you understand that if you are allowed out on bail before your trial, before this, while this case is pending, your mom is going to commit her house, and she would actually lose her house? Is that clear to you?
That's very clear to me.
And that if you violate even one law, you're going to go straight back to jail.
Your Honor, if I may just address a couple of comments of Ms. Almiron. In terms of the meth leading to the conduct that the defendant is charged with here today, first, with respect to the aggravated identity theft and access device fraud charges, that is reflective of, based on the evidence, what must have been a continuing and extensive scheme. That would not necessarily be explained away by a meth run or, over just the course of a few days. This was going on, it appears, for months based on evidence of the use of these particular counterfeited and stolen access devices. And that's a discovery that's been produced to Ms. Amram. With respect to the firearms, the defendant has 3 prior firearms convictions. And yet, here again, he was carrying a gun and had another gun in his car in the same bag as where over 75 grams of pure meth was found. This is conduct that is continuing. And
Stop it.
He's not learning from it.
75 grams of pure meth. Pure meth.
Is
not
that all?
cut, not packed. Pure meth.
Only 75?
Here's so 1 gram. So those of you who may not understand drug weights. 1 gram. Those sugar packets you get in coffee shops, that's 1 gram.
Yes.
So a usable amount of methamphetamine would be approximately 1/10 of that. So in 1 gram of one sugar packet, basically, of methamphetamine, which is about 1 gram, that's about 10 uses, right? Roughly 5 to 10 uses, depending upon how big of a hit they're
meth head
taking.
you are.
So, and look, most meth heads don't buy for a rainy day, right? So just to give you an idea of how much, so 75, if you're using a 1/10, a 0.1 measurement for use, let's give them benefit of the doubt. Let's say 0.2, right? So let's say it's 5 uses out of 10. You do the math with how much that is.
Here's the other math that you need to do. A gram of meth, what's it go for? Regionally, depends on where you are. Anywhere from $50 to $120. 1 gram. Now multiply that.
This is
multiply
uncut.
that times 75.
This is uncut.
Oh, well, that's
This
better.
is 75
That's better.
grams of uncut.
That's like getting, I just stumbled across a quart of meth oil. Woohoo! How great for me on that.
Sorry, I wanted to give our listeners an idea because they may not understand that world. I'm sure most of them don't. Go ahead, Sean.
Okay. No, really. Okay.
Past mistakes. I have no doubt that his particular sentiments are genuine, but he, in our view, and the view of pretrial, poses a substantial danger to the public, and I would also say, on preponderance of the evidence, a risk of flight with respect to his past runnings from the officers and failure to comply with the supervised release.
Okay. I'm going to allow Mr. Littlecloud to go to Newbridge with grave misgivings. I have to tell you, Mr. Littlecloud, you're not going to get any chances there. One violation at one of the rules, and you're going straight back to jail. Your mom is willing to put up her house for you, and so that's a really big deal. She will lose her house if you actually try to run away, and I'm holding you and her to that. So I just want to make sure that you understand that, and that is a really big deal. And this is your one shot. This is your one chance to get treatment for your problems, and I hope that it works for you, but I'm very worried. To be honest with you, I'm very concerned, and so this is your chance to prove this all wrong, that you can do it. Okay. We're going to have to...
Okay, that's enough. You're very concerned, and you fucking did it anyways.
Right. Well, and that's the thing.
Is that negligence?
It's got to be on some level, right? Because here you are as a federal court judge saying, or magistrate, saying, hey, here's everything I know you have the potential of doing. You've done it time and again.
Yeah.
There's a million reasons.
I'm very worried.
There's a million reasons why I should not release you right now. And it's almost like Dumb and Dumber, right? Where the judge is like, so you're telling me there's a chance? Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm just going to go ahead. You get one chance. If you violate once, you're done. Done. Until the next hearing. And then we're going to give you another chance. And if you violate that one, oh boy, can we have another hearing. And we'll have a lot more hearings. You're not going to be...
That's right.
You're not going to be held.
We're going to wag our finger at you, and we will use sarcasm at you.
As much as we can.
That's right. Criminal sarcasm.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. And as a result of this judge's inability to use common sense and follow the law.
Because of this judge's negligence.
Outright negligence. A Sacramento County Sheriff's deputy is dead, and 2 CHP officers have been injured. And Little Cloud is dead. And it could have got a lot worse. For people who aren't familiar with the scene itself, this guy had an automatic long rifle. I believe it was an AK-47. I'm not 100% sure off the top of my head. That's what I've heard, but I don't know.
Correct.
And, I mean, never mind the responding police officers. You have a fairly highly populated area. There was a lot of rounds that he let go. A lot of other people could have been killed as a result of his actions. All because this judge can't even justify it. That's the thing. It's like, I don't understand.
Kim, it was her name. Judge Kim. Not Lee, yeah.
I don't understand.
She couldn't justify it.
Right. That's why she had that uncomfortable laugh.
Yeah, I have grave misgivings.
Yeah.
I have...
Grave?
Is there any other kind? You see what I did there?
Few good men.
Yeah.
Few good men.
Would I go so far as to say this was political in nature? Because that's exactly what Jim Comey did. Did he not lay out the perfect set of circumstances and bullet points for making sure that Hillary Clinton got prosecuted and then concluded that she shouldn't be? That was political. This is political because there are no consequences, and there haven't been in the past, and there likely won't be in the future.
Right.
Not in this state.
And you know,
and each district is different.
It amazes me, though, when you see these judges always trying to save the wrong person. And I mean this. When you get into white-collar crimes, right, have you ever seen judges tear apart people for white-collar crimes? And I'm not saying that that crime is any less important, but you've seen it, right? Martha Stewart. How long did Martha Stewart do for tax? Wasn't even tax. It was stock market messing.
Why, but can you imagine how pissed she is at Hillary?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. But she did what, a year and a half in a federal pen for acting on an insider stock tip? And then you have an asshole like this who'd already done hookups in prison, history of violence. He's recorded on jailhouse tape saying that he wanted to shoot cops.
So let me ask
numerous gun charges.
Let me ask you this. Could this federal magistrate, and I know ambulance chasers listening all over the world are going to lose their freaking mind right now. Could this federal magistrate, because this happened in California, be charged with manslaughter with gross criminal negligence?
Because their actions or her actions directly
were accountable.
Only if popular opinion swells. Consider the circumstances, consider the region.
Right.
Look, yeah. Look,
and I submit this is different.
Look, hang
also.
On. I get it, but here you have gross criminal negligence typically applies when there is a criminal negligence refers to a mental state of disregarding known or obvious risks to human life and safety. This judge, I would say by her own admission, with all of the evidence she had laid out in front of her, and her own statements of, I have severe misgivings, or whatever the hell she said.
Severe
misgivings. I think she displayed gross criminal negligence.
I agree.
Which led to the death of Deputy French, and thereby she has some culpability for manslaughter.
And yeah.
I know ambulance chasers' mind exploded.
Oh, they're going nuts right now.
They're going nuts. Incredible. They're absolutely not. And I can hear it. But look, I'm just thinking outside of the box. Everybody knows it's not going to happen.
And why won't that happen? Because federal judges, the nation over, don't want that to happen to them either.
Right.
And that's the problem. And, you know, we always talk about Congress and term limits and some other things.
How awesome would it be if the Sacramento County DA, which has absolutely zero balls whatsoever, actually grew a pair and filed charges?
Sacked up a little bit.
Right?
Sacked up just a tad.
Sack-headed up a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. It would be nice. It'll never happen.
No. God, no.
But it'll be nice. And it's a shame. But we've also seen the degradation of the criminal justice system by and large in this country go crazy.
By the way, I sent a tweet out.
Yeah.
I'm getting more retweets on that than I have anything that I've sent out in the past 2 days.
It's amazing. Well, and there's a reason for it.
Good. Look, and look, there's Carl Stinselli is a retired sergeant from the Sacramento County Sheriff's Department. He actually wrote an open letter. Look, I don't see retired guys, retired cops. You just don't see that many posts from them a lot of times For the most part.
Okay.
For the most part.
Present company excluded?
Yeah,
Okay.
BZ's an anomaly.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure we were clear on that.
No, but for the most part, would you agree with that?
I'm like,
how many?
He's right in the room with us.
How many open letters to judges do you see from retired cops?
Not okay. All right.
You
I'll give you that one.
You don't see them,
Right.
And this guy, retired Sergeant Carl Stinselli of the Sacramento County Sheriff's Department, actually wrote an open letter to this judge, basically telling her that she should resign. And this judge in this judge's office has had there's been no response, of course, from them. But if you get a chance to read the letter, it's pretty good, and I can read.
Now, where did you find it though? On which social media?
This one's actually on Fox40.com. Actually has
Fox 40 actually covered it.
Fox 40 actually covered it, and I'm going to quote. This is quote: "Judges are supposed to take into account what the general harm will be to the public when making a decision. Judge Kim chose to release Little Cloud into a drug rehabilitation program, not federal custody. 1 year later, blah, blah, blah. So here's what he says. Open memo to U.S. Federal Magistrate Judge Sally Kim. Sacramento County Sheriff's Deputy Bob French just paid the ultimate price. A terrible consequence. His family and friends also had a consequence. The Sacramento Sheriff's Department itself paid a consequence. The citizens and taxpayers of Sacramento paid a consequence. Your terrible decision set all this in motion. And your consequence, in all caps, question mark, you have no civil or criminal issues to worry about. Your job? Not an issue, because your current term expires in 2023 regardless of mistakes in judgment. If any of the injured or dead officers had made a similarly serious mistake in judgment, they would find themselves in search of a new line of work or in jail. Oh, you feel bad, don't you? But what consequence do you have? Even if you ruled against every criminal between now and 2023, you won't. You would never make up for the misguided decision you've made. Do the right thing. Step down. Resign. Go back to civil law. Private practice. For what the hell, make pottery. It won't bring Bob back, but it will keep you from, again, destroying lives. Think about it. 3 officers shot, and 1 paid the ultimate consequence because you thought this longtime weapons meth addict should go to rehab, not prison. I'm mad, and I'm not taking it anymore. I will bring your name up in every conversation I have. You were part of the problem. Until last week, Bob was part of the solution."
Hear, hear.
It was very powerful.
And brilliantly written, and 100% to the point.
Yep.
And it's the reality. I mean, that's the sad part. I just don't I don't think people understand or pay attention enough to the criminal justice system to see the decisions that get made every day and how many shitty ones get made.
I'm going to forward this to you, BZ, so you can tweet this out.
Okay,
because you know how
I'll
much of a
wager
Twitter
this.
monster I am.
We know how ridiculously ignorant and naive the electorate really is in many instances.
Yes.
I would wager 8 out of 10 people across the nation could not tell you the difference between a police officer and a deputy sheriff.
Oh, I agree with you wholeheartedly.
And if they don't even know that, what makes anyone think that they're sufficiently cognizant of their surroundings in terms of
But you know
that?
what? Most of the public, I think most of the public don't. They see a uniform and they think they see it the cop. And the ones that appreciate the service, like I appreciate their service, they say they see a cop and they thank the cop. They don't care if it's park ranger, if it's city,
That's
county,
also regional.
state, right? But I think the bigger issue here is I don't think people really understand what's happening in the criminal justice program or what these judges are doing, and that's the bigger issue. And that's why I think it was so important for our listeners to hear the crap that goes on in our criminal justice system.
Yeah.
And ladies and gentlemen, you wonder why cops don't want to do this job anymore?
Yeah. You wonder why?
There is no support.
Whatsoever.
Zero.
Whatsoever. Because, and I've talked to a couple buddies about this, they say it all the time.
Here's
You bust your ass to build a case and do all this work on a specific individual and you put him behind bars, and then you have some judge who either dismisses half the hard work you do or just does some boneheaded, negligent act like this. Where it's like, what's the point? Why should I go out there and risk my life when there's no support on the back end of this?
Let me ask the two of you this question, because
We have 30 seconds.
You both have kids.
Yes.
Knowing what you know about
Absolutely
everything,
not. Absolutely not.
would you advocate
Absolutely not.
your children go into law enforcement?
Absolutely not. For the first time in my life, no.
No.
And not because I don't think it's an honorable profession, and not because we don't need good, ethical, moral individuals who do the job for the right reason, because we absolutely need those people. But I certainly don't want it to be one of my kids. And I'll tell you why. There is very little regard for law enforcement life, as evidenced by this judge's decision. There is a lot of hostility towards law enforcement, and law enforcement can't do anything right, even when they do something right. And I think that that's not a life that I want my kids exposed to. If that's something that's going to make them happy, I love them and support them. But it's not something where I would encourage them necessarily. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. What a hell of a statement that is.
It is.
It
definitely.
is. It's sad. It makes me sad.
Yeah, and I agree wholeheartedly. We're up against a break. When we come back, we do have other news we have to cover. Of course, North Korea and some other things, but we will continue on right here on the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR.
Thanks for giving me a full hour.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, it's Shaun from the Sackheads Radio Show. Also one of the owners here at the SHR Media Network. Are you opinionated? Have you ever wanted to do your own show? Have you ever heard somebody like the Sackheads and go, yeah, I could probably do that better? Well, now's your chance. Send me a 5-minute clip at sackheadsradio@gmail.com, and maybe you can be part of the SHR broadcasting team. sackheadsradio@gmail.com.
Times are dark. The people are misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation looking for direction needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, 100 Press Radio, and YouTube through the SHR Media page for a different kind of commentary on the unpleasant blind guy. Because the truth is not always pleasant.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians,
You got a business. You didn't build that.
a team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Shaun.
Dude, I'm not saying Catholic, stupid club.
Sackhead Clint.
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
Also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on SHRmedia.com.
The bloviating Zeppelin. He's big-footed enough radio shows to last a lifetime, courtesy of Shaun, Clint, Ken, and Jersey Joe. Now it's time for him to waddle on his own 2 feet via the glorious SHR Media. Gird thy loins for the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon, coming soon to Ossicles near you. Excelsior.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Back, the Sackheads Radio Show, on live and direct on the SHR Media Network. And we are with Sackhead Shaun and Sackheads Clint. Sackhead Shaun is doing something important right now. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Ahem.
Yeah, a show.
Right, euphemisms.
Right?
I love euphemisms.
Yeah.
Perfect, absolutely perfect. Folks, you made an interesting point, Clint, and I should like to mention it right now. You said that the first hour that we did is probably one of the best hours that you guys have ever done in Sackheads. Maybe you can explain why you think that.
You know, and it may not, I'm not talking necessarily for radio quality or something like that, but I'm talking in terms of we don't often have segments where we talk about something that there is not a lot of discussion of on a national level, and yet it has, in my opinion, national implications. And the implications for that segment, and I'm not trying to overstate this by any stretch of the imagination, but that trend and the implications for the trend and the issues we discussed affects us literally as a nation. And I'm not talking about just based on our belief system and all this other, but literally who we are as Americans and what we stand for and what we are going to tolerate. Because if we get to the point where, in some people's perspective, we are, where the rule of law doesn't matter, where there's no consequences to the actions, people die. This isn't a game, and the criminal justice system isn't some machine set in motion to oppress a certain class of people. The criminal justice system is there to keep order, to keep society in order, so that we have a society that we're able to function. We're able to thrive as Americans. We're able to thrive as a nation. If the very fabric of that starts to fall apart, and you get this in discussions with family unit and everything else, then as a nation we're doomed. If we have people on the street that are allowed, that are clearly violent offenders, demonstrated a history of violence, have said in jail interviews that they should have shot it out with the cops, not interviews but phone calls, and we let them out, that is a major public safety concern. And look, this affects people in terms of where we let our kids play, perhaps where we shop, the faith that we have in law enforcement, the faith that we put into the criminal justice system. And if that starts to slowly erode, you can have a certain segment of society that starts taking matters into their own hands, because clearly the government's not doing the job it's supposed to do, provide for the welfare of the public. And so I think the implications are so large and widespread, and I can't even go through and state them all right now. I know we have other segments to get to, but I think it's just such an important issue on so many different levels, and that the criminal justice system and the judges right now, and how the system operates and how broken it is, and the fact that everything is watered down, there really is no consequence. Jails are freaking, they get TV privileges and great meals and all this other stuff. That I think that it affects us all as, again, like I said, as a society and as a nation. I think more people need to see that. Very few Americans really, I think, understand that. I think there's people, even some on the right, that think, jails are overcrowded and maybe we need to start looking at other things. Well, look, if we say it's a 12-year minimum, like this guy was up against, and they get 12 years, we're not going to have jail overcrowding, because at some point, we might in the short term, but at some point people are going to say, wow, you know what, they really don't screw around. And I bring up, to point to that, I bring up the 3 strikes law in California. When did bad guys really start stressing out about going back to prison and behaving?
Get out of my head, because I was just going to make the point about New York City. New York City was a festering hellhole under Lindsay and the next mayor in the 70s, because they did not have the will to stop crime.
Yes.
When did crime begin to go down?
Giuliani.
Giuliani.
Yep.
Why? Because he said essentially every crime counts.
Yes.
Every small you start at the bottom.
Yep.
And it's not incremental, it's the full wide spectrum.
Yep.
Crime went down. Now, why is crime going up now?
And particularly in California.
All over.
Yes. And look, the city of Sacramento voted to pay $1.5 million of their budget to the top 50 most dangerous gang members so that they can promise not to commit violent crime.
That brings up another point. That brings up another excellent point. Now, if you're a gang member and you just saw your good friend, Jose, get paid, weren't they saying that roughly about $1,000 a month?
Per month, yes.
Was the motivational check amount that they're considering. Now, if Jose...
No, it passed.
Oh, yes, I know. If Jose's your good friend, and you see him getting cut a check for $1,000 a month, would that not be something of a motivator for you to go out and commit crimes and become...
the top 50.
Yeah, and then you are magically transported up into you become aware, or the city of Sacramento becomes aware of you, and in order to mollify you, they decide, hey, we should put